Cure.
Coming up next on News
Roll
10
6,
at noon,
take
a
it.
massive
Ready,
earthquake
wait to 7,
strikes
natural.
Japan, triggering a major tsunami that has spawned tsunami waves here in the U.S. We have a live report and continuing coverage on the disaster
Roll
in
7,
the Pacific.
wiping.
That person
News
Ready,
10's
1,
Steve
Gregorio.
Payne said he's in Hawaii. We hear from him and have
Somewhere.
more
Mike
on what's
Gregorio,
happening there.
take 1.
That's some good news.
Ready,
There
8,
you go.
natural, Christina.
Footwear still exists, but so far things are looking good.
Roll 8, take it.
And here at home, the recent
Ready,
rainy
2,
weather is
Christina.
creating some messy conditions on the roadways. We talked about that flooding, and we'll also show you how drivers are handling pothole-filled roads. Now, crews are dealing with the
Take
problem.
2. Stand by, master.
Is next.
Ready, brake, master. Fade out. Roll alpha and dissolve it. Ready, 9,
Slow.
natural, Christina. Still 1 banner. 2, gently pan right. Roll 9, dissolve and cure.
Hundreds of bodies washed
Ready,
ashore
2,
in
Christina,
northern
box.
Japan after an
Go super.
8.9 magnitude
1 point away,
quake
Christina.
strikes the country, triggering a massive
Dissolve
tsunami
in 2,
of
Christina.
fires. The quake struck northern Japan just
Next is
before
net
1
3.
a.m. our time. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christina Arangio. It shook major
Super
buildings
out.
there in northern Japan, forcing
Sarah,
people
that
into
tape
the
in 6
streets
is a backup.
in the middle of the afternoon. But
30.
what followed the quake was even worse. A 23-foot tsunami that swept away cars, boats, and buildings. Dozens of aftershocks followed for hours while rising water
Ready, net
flooded
3
the
coming up.
streets.
2,
The
gently
quake
pan
caused
right just a
gas
little bit.
lines to burst, causing fires and explosions.
There you go, thank you.
Officials are keeping a close eye on the country's
10.
power plants there. ABC's Karen Travers has been closely following this story, and she joins us
Take
live
net
from
3.
Washington with the very latest on what's happening in northern Japan and elsewhere. Karen.
Good afternoon. This devastating earthquake lasted 5 minutes. It
Good
was
job,
followed
thank you.
quickly by massive tsunami waves
Ready
that
to lose
stretched
super?
so
Hopefully
far
they roll the
they
insert
threatened
package.
the west coast of the United States.
Super out. Thank you.
The horrific scenes out of Japan
Okay.
look like
There should be
something from a
supers.
Hollywood blockbuster. At 2:46
Only
p.m.
super at
Tokyo
26.
time, the magnitude 8.9 earthquake hit. One of the largest quakes ever in history, it shook buildings, crumbled houses,
Okay, camera
and
1,
ignited
head on 2
widespread
shot. Camera
fires,
2 gets
including
Christina.
this one at an oil
Center for
refinery
now.
north of Tokyo. ABC News is
Scale
at
1, head on 2 shot.
in our
You
Tokyo
got plenty of
bureau when the
time.
quake
2
hit.
is Christina, center for now.
Stronger and
Super in.
stronger. And we've got a bunch of tapes out here on the shelves. They started to fly out.
Super out.
Randy Castle is an American working in Tokyo.
It was a lot of swing. You could hear the building creaking.
After the earth shook, then came the walls
We'll
of
just need,
water.
Karen Travers
Massive
super
tsunami waves crashed into the Japanese coast, sweeping homes and cars back into the
Christina
water.
out to 2.
Fishing boats slammed ashore.
Thank you, Joe.
The terror lasted for hours, with more than 80 aftershocks, many registering more than a magnitude 6.0. Police said nearly 300 bodies were found in the northeastern coastal city of Sendai. Hundreds are missing, and the death tolls will certainly rise. Millions were left without power. As a precaution, Japan closed 4 nuclear power plants and evacuated thousands of residents who lived in the area of one of them. Travel came to a halt. On a normal day, 10 million people ride trains in northeastern Japan and Tokyo. Today, thousands were stranded in stations. There is no way I can go home. I want to go home, this woman said.
Super in for
President
Karen.
Obama spoke to the
Round
Japanese
Karen,
Prime
2,
Minister
Christina.
this morning, and
Up next is with the
Japanese
guest.
have
That's an
requested
airman's
US
chair.
assistance. Reporting live from
Bye,
Washington,
Christina.
Karen Travers, ABC
Take
News. Back to you.
2.
Thank you, Karen. As you just saw there, Japan
Thanks,
has been
Karen.
This is
rocked by
1,
one of
2
the
shot the
biggest
guest.
earthquakes ever recorded, with hundreds believed
Turn
to
to
be
camera
dead.
1.
And here to talk more about the power
Take
of
1.
this quake
2
and
now
the
get
tsunami
tight
that
shot
triggered
guest.
there and elsewhere in the Pacific is geologist Dr. Chuck Verstraeten with the State Museum. Thanks so much for coming in to talk to us about this. We know that Japan
Ready, 7,
is used to
natural.
earthquakes, but you're talking about
Ready,
a
camera 2
magnitude
first.
8.9
Dave, you don't have a
earthquake
super
here.
for this
Very
person?
different. Tell us more
2,
about the
pan left
incredible
a little
Oh, no, I'll pull it in.
Well, you can see it on the videos and
Roll
photos that are
7,
coming out
take it.
over there. It's just amazing. I mean, you know, recently we had the story back in February about the Christchurch, New Zealand earthquake.
Say when.
But that was very minor. That was only a 6.3 magnitude compared
Well,
to
let's zoom in a little bit
8.9.
tighter.
And every time you move up a point,
Yes.
point
Just make sure
one,
you talk to
it's
Jimmy.
10
Yeah,
times
that's what I'm
more
saying.
powerful.
Guys,
Roll
you all
8
right?
and
This was
dissolve
so
it.
much more powerful than the one back in February.
And we talked about this
Thank you very
23-foot
much.
tsunami, which is just incredible. Explain the
Roll
speed
9.
of the tsunamis. I'm not sure people
Dissolving.
fully can understand. You can see the whirlpool that was happening here that is
Yeah.
still swirling there in Japan.
Well, we can see the rate it's moving inland as it comes across. But if you
Sarah, if
also
you could, just
look at
recue the
maps
tape
of
that was in
the
7 for me,
predictions of
please.
times that it
The
will reach
A16
Alaska,
tape, if you
Hawaii,
can.
the west coast of North America, perhaps even South America, you can see that
Great,
one
Karen,
of these
2
tsunami
was
waves
super.
generated by the earthquake can move
Gently
across
pan
the
right on
entire
two.
Pacific Ocean
Hold.
basin
Take two.
at a tremendous speed. You know, what will it be, 20 hours, 24 hours to reach the west
Amy.
coast of South America? Already
Amy.
an hour ago or so, it would have reached the west
Amy,
coast
can you hear me?
of California.
Take
And we were
take one.
watching that whirlpool there, trying to describe for us what's happening.
Amy, can you hear me?
underneath the surface.
Well, if you
Okay,
think of
If you
looking
could,
at-
Sarah,
I
again,
did not
if you
take your
could take
video.
it.
I'm only going to use
Thank
your
you very much.
side.
Sometimes you've got
Right,
smooth
two.
flows and sometimes you
Take
have
two.
All right, thanks.
turbulent flows. There's a lot of eddies and circles. and
Thank you,
things.
You'll be
Sarah.
after the
Roll a nine,
Steve Pacer
dissolve.
phoner.
It's basically an eddy where the water is just kind of going into
David,
a
need
circle.
times
It's not
for
yeah,
break
I'm-
camera.
down like,
Two, give me a two shot.
letting
One, go to
water
CK
Go for
wall.
it now.
But it's
One
just
CK
an
wall,
eddy.
two head on,
It's a
two shot now.
tremendous large flow coming inland across a very broad area.
You know, you
see
talked
that.
about how
Ready,
powerful
seven,
this
natural.
earthquake is.
Control
and
seven.
we know they're concerned about a power plant there, and they build those power plants to withstand major earthquakes. And yet still, because of power
Ready,
things.
camera, two
And
shot
just
next.
at a glance so far, what I've seen of photos and of the imagery, I don't see so much damage to buildings. Specifically,
And
you see
zoom
street
in a
chunks
little bit
and things
tighter
like
and two
that.
slow
Because they
in.
have the
Japan.
construction there
Thanks.
to
Sorry,
Japan
zoom
has
out. I'm
been
sorry.
so prepared for earthquakes.
Whoever's on
since
camera
the
two,
80s.
my apologies.
So they
Zoom
have
in
very
two.
rigorous
Up next will be
codes
Gregorio at the wall.
for earthquake construction.
You know,
I am
hearing
done
about
with Chunk
obviously in
Super.
Hawaii and other parts of the country that are dealing with this as well, Alaska, Oregon, Washington. What should we expect there? Obviously minimal compared to what's been happening in northern Japan.
They were predicting that
So
when
by chance you
the
can
tsunami
have
would hit
Gregorio Super.
Hawaii, which it did an hour and a half ago or so,
Yes.
I
Thank
think it would only be about a foot over normal wave height.
Yeah, we've heard
So that's
we've
not
heard a
bad.
couple of reports about 8-foot waves off of Maui, but that was the highest.
Okay.
Yes.
When tsunami waves
Oh my
move
God.
into shallow waters,
What
they
an exaggerate.
exaggerate. They become greater because of being shoved up into shallow water. So they tend to exaggerate as they get to land.
Right, they don't look like much when they're out at sea, but boy,
No,
when
they
they
don't.
come in. Thank you so much for coming in.
Sure.
We greatly
Very
appreciate
Ready,
you
get
talking
Gregorio.
about this.
Ready, camera
Well,
one.
today's earthquake triggered a tsunami that is now being felt on the other side of the ocean. And News 10
Take a
meteorologist
Gregorio.
Gregorio joins us now to
Take
explain
it.
the track the massive waves have taken, Andy.
That's right, Christina. Matter of fact,
Super
this
out.
was the epicenter of the earthquake off the northeast coast
Okay,
of Mexico.
camera
And
two
as the
now.
doctor mentioned, it's
Christina,
already starting to
center.
traverse across a good chunk of the Pacific Ocean. The waves expected to be moving into the Southern California area right now. And by this evening, off the west coast of South America. Now, keep in mind, as this wave
Thanks,
moves
Sarah. We were
along
done
this
with those
path,
tapes that were in
it
7,
doesn't
8, 9.
travel in
Thank you
just
very
simply
much.
a straight line. It also spreads out. So that's why we did see some seismic waves up in the Aleutian Islands of up to 5 feet or a little bit more, and around 6 feet in parts of Hawaii as well. And as they work their way towards the east, we are looking at the possibility maybe with some waves of up to 6 or 7 feet in parts of the northwest coastal areas of the U.S. around Oregon, especially in Northern California. But basically, the wave is continuing to traverse down, and the tsunami warning remains in effect for parts of the west coast of the U.S. and the west coast of South America.
Mike Christina, take two.
All right, Andy, thanks so much. Hawaii
Ready,
is among
six
the areas
natural.
hit by tsunami waves this morning, as we said. Waves
Roll six,
of at
take
least 3 feet high were
Two,
recorded
Christina,
on
box
Oahu
now, please.
and Hawaii. And officials say they could still become larger. Water rushed ashore
Gently
in
pan right more
Honolulu,
on two.
swamping the
Thank you.
beaches in Waikiki and surging over a break wall, but it stopped short of the area's high-rise hotels. Residents in coastal areas were evacuated to higher ground, and you can see the traffic there as people try to get out of harm's way or concerned that they could be in harm's way.
Ready,
As
two,
the tsunami
Christina,
struck.
box.
They did have hours, though, to prepare. They're certainly different from the situation
Take
in
two.
Japan. News 10 Steve Pacer.
Next is
who
7.
happens to
Sound
be
full for a
vacationing in
package.
Hawaii today. We spoke with him early this morning about 4:30 Eastern time, and he shared what it was like there. That was before the tsunami waves reached Hawaii. We've been trying to reach him for the last few hours, but have been unable to make contact again. Here's what he told us this
Roll
morning.
7 and rolling it.
All right, go ahead, Steve. How did you first find out about it?
Okay, I actually first heard out
Wasn't queued up.
from a few
Wasn't
text
edited
messages
correctly.
from people that are still in New
Here
York.
for 229.
on the East Coast,
Camera
saying
one,
that
camera
it's
2
going
gets
to Hawaii,
Christina
there's a tsunami
centered.
warning.
1
And,
goes to
I kind of
weather
brushed
center.
off. We were out
Middle
eating
monitor for
dinner,
now.
But then on the TVs in the bars, they, stopped playing the basketball games or Sports Center, and they had the National Weather Service tsunami warning.
2:30 to you.
It's camera 2, truck directly
2:30.
right. So give
2.5 to you.
Worried about it. She said, well,
Get Christina with the other blue background if you can.
most eastern and southern island. I'm on the big island of Hawaii, so she said normally, we should be fine. So we kind of left the restaurant, and then we got back to the condo where we're staying at, and that's when it's all over the news. Every single station, no commercials, no breaks. They're just talking about what happened in Japan, what we should be doing here, in Hawaii, and kind of what to do next, I think, is a big thing that's
Julie,
happening
can
right
you
now.
do me a favor?
What people
In
be concerned about,
CG3,
because
can you
they're
pull
saying that
up,
it's not going to hit
shoot.
Hawaii until about
Dave,
3:07
someone,
a.m.,
I need
and
Steve
we're
Patience
5
for that
hours
saved in still
behind
store at the
Eastern
end.
time, so we still have a few hours
What's
to
up?
go until
You
then.
need saved in still store?
Yeah, unless you got, did you cover up airmen at the end of this?
We're okay, and we're not staying. We're about 6 miles from the ocean, but we're
Because it's gonna look weird.
kind of being proactive,
Alright,
assuming they're saying
it should be at the bottom of the still
preparing for
story.
the worst, hoping for the best. So we
Alright.
we filled up
Thank
that
you.
house full of water to make sure we
I
have
wanna be
fresh
safe
water,
rather than
house
sorry.
full of our perishable food items,
2, please.
and we found an evacuation route just
Thanks,
in
Julie.
case it reaches this high. We're trying to reach the highest point, that's the most inland, which is about 30
Appreciate it.
miles or so from where we're staying. So now we're determining, should we go out and get gas? Should we be okay? We're kind of still watching the news to see what we should do next.
Steve, have you heard any sirens? They were talking about, Hawaii sounding the alarm, letting people know about it.
Thank you.
Right, what's interesting is that on the news, when they were doing some interviews at the Tsunami Warning Center, we could hear the sirens during that interview, but we haven't heard any on this island yet. But from the news
about
reports
20
here,
left.
it seems
Rather
there's
to
a lot
camera
of
2,
islands that
Christina.
haven't heard the sirens yet.
She'll be in
And they'll
Duelers and
coming
tossing to
every
Rem 1,
hour,
Amy
so
Cutler.
we're going to keep listening, and if those happen, that's when we kind of, I think this is a little more real and a little more of a pressing issue than we feel it is right now.
All right, Steve, thank you so much. We'll be staying in touch with you, so keep us posted if any changes.
Mike, Christina.
And be safe, Steve. We'll be in touch.
All right, thanks, guys.
Take 2, Christina. Miker.
Stand by,
And we'll
Amy.
have more from Steve Pace
Next is
later on, as soon
Duelers.
as we can get in touch with him.
With
Hopefully
Rem 1.
he is doing fine. In just over an hour, 2 RPI students and 2 RPI professors from Japan will be talking about the
Mike,
disaster.
Rem 1. Take
News 10's
Duelers.
Amy Cutler
Ready,
will
Rem
be
1.
among
Amy
the
Cutler
people
with the
listening
super.
to what they have to say, and she joins us live from the college's Troy campus with a preview. Amy.
Take Rem 1.
Christina, RPI
Okay,
has
up
a
next you
large
should have
number
a
of
SAT that's an
students
8.
from Japan, and
Had
some
to say Israel
administrators
Q.
say those students are having trouble getting in touch with family and friends who are
Camera
still
2,
in Japan.
Christina Box.
Now, earlier this morning, I spoke with a professor from RPI, an engineering professor, about how prepared
Ready, 8 sound
Japan
and
was
tape.
for a quake of this size. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Roll 8 and take it.
The matter of how much
Is that Tarek?
Yep,
Super
22
in.
seconds.
and willing to invest
Prepared country.
and
Super
because
out.
the
Thank you.
earthquakes,
We're out to
if you
Rem
get
1,
any
Amy
hazards
Cutler.
which you can't plan for, or it's too expensive to plan for. So, as this is a very powerful earthquake, I'm expecting to see fatality and loss
Ready,
of
Rem 1?
lives, in spite that it's a very well prepared country.
Take Rem 1. Amy Cutler's up.
Now that meeting will
Okay,
take
up next is
place
Karen
around
2, Christina
1:15
Box,
at
Storm
the
Tracker
Alumni
update.
House right behind me here.
She will toss
Now,
to
we'll, of course,
camera
be
1,
asking
Andy
those
Gregorio.
students how they're coping, how they're handling this situation, and see if they have had any luck reaching out to their family and friends who are still in Japan. For now,
Bye,
we're
Christina.
live at RPI. Amy Cutler.
Take
Newscast.
2.
All right, Amy, thanks so much. It was
Ready,
a rainy
1,
start
Andy
to the
Gregorio.
day, and though the rain has tapered off, as you just saw
With
there,
his super.
there is concern about a flood watch, and it's still in effect. And
Awesome.
we'll check in now with
Mike
Thanks.
Gregorio for
Take
news
one.
on Tracker update.
Yeah, that's right, Christina. We still have the runoff from the last night and early morning heavy rains to deal with, and temperatures are pretty mild in many places, and as a result, that's still eating in some snow melt, so there is still the possibility for flooding. But I'll tell you what, I did speak earlier this morning
Super
to some of the folks over at the
K2,
National Weather
San Juan,
Service here in
Christina.
Albany, the hydro section, and they actually said that the snowpack, while it's ripened up, seems to be holding, so we may look out here and dodge a bullet. Here's what we can expect for the rest of the afternoon. We will be drying out.
I'm
for
saying
sure.
about 5 minutes
Continues,
too, Nicole.
As Christina mentioned, the heavy rain is gone. But as I mentioned, the snow melt and runoff continue. We do have some possible ice jams. We have a few around Dolgeville.
So we're back up to
We also
180
have
the camera
one in
2,
the
Christina with
Schenectady
T's
area, and of
music.
course,
T's
big
wipes
one
9
on the
natural,
upper
the
Hudson
Delta
at
clean for
North Creek,
tips.
which is causing some flooding. And as a result of all that, the flood watch does continue. We also have flood warnings now for the Hudson at North Creek due to that ice jam on the Schoharie Creek. We're expecting some minor flooding at Burdensville, Breakabine, and Prattsville through tomorrow evening. And at the Gilboa Dam, there will be some moderate flooding through Saturday night as well. But again, right now, we're not looking at anything widespread or severe. And once again, there you go. The flood watch remains up for all of the viewing area through this afternoon. HD radar, nothing more than a few showers across the WTN viewing area off to the right of your screen. That's the last bit of the heavy rain that swept across the region this morning. We will be looking at generally some good conditions around the area this afternoon with temperatures warming to near 50 here in Albany and just nothing more than a few passing light showers of rain. What's in store for the weekend?
Dissolve it, Mike Christina. Take 2.
All right, Amy,
Sneak
thanks
some
so
music
much.
under.
We are
Ready,
continuing
9
to follow
natural.
latest developments on the disasters
Roll
in the
9. Take it.
Pacific with the
Ready,
quake
Delta
that
clean
struck
for
there.
tips.
You see pictures here from Japan. Also the tsunami that followed, massive tsunami, 23-foot waves. Hundreds are dead, 500 still missing. Be sure to stay with News 10 as we bring you the very
Roll
latest
Delta.
information on this major story.
Wipe it.
But first,
Next
I
is
want to remind you, if you
DOT,
have
the
a
wipe
news story
up.
or you see news breaking, you can email
I don't
us,
have
call
it.
us, send us a tweet, or get us on Facebook.
And roll your brake, master.